lovelies, it's Miss Lady Lace here on my Glamour channel, and today I have for you a new glamorous video where we're going to be talking a little bit more about vintage silhouettes, and I'm going to be demonstrating a tutorial on how to put on and take off a corset. In last week's video I was talking about vintage silhouettes and how to achieve these without utilizing shapewear, while this week I'm going to be demonstrating this with shapewear. Personally, I've been wearing corsets for many years, but I would say I'm not a hardcore corset wearer. I don't do anything extreme like waist training, but I do enjoy tight lacing, which is just wearing a corset more for the fashion aspect rather than to reduce or lose weight using a corset. Corsets are such a beautiful fashion accessory. They can be used as either a fashion foundation, so it's to create the shape beneath your clothing, or you can wear it on top of your outfit to really make that outfit pop. During the 1940s and 50s, the corset, girdles, and other shapewear items are definitely foundation garments, so they're worn underneath your clothing to create a certain look. The corset I'm using to demonstrate today's tutorial is from Glamour Corset, a wonderful company that specializes in a whole range of amazing corsetry. They have different corsets to suit different needs, whether you're after a fashion corset, a waist training corset, tight lacing corset, or whatever your heart desires. Their website gives lots of help in assisting you find the corset that's right for you. So here I have this fabulous little underbust corset, which is really fabulous. I can't remember the exact model name, but I will include that in the description below. It's 100% cotton and it feels really durable. I've been wearing it a little bit lately in preparation for filming this video, and I've got to say I am in love with the silhouette it creates, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So today's focus is going to be demonstrating how to put this bad boy on and how to take it off. But if you would like a video further explaining how to choose a corset for you and different tips regarding these corsetry things, do let me know in the comments below. What we're going to start by doing is loosening the lacing on the back, which I did before this video. And you simply do this by pulling the little X shapes on the back and spreading this out so it's nice and wide and it's easy to put on. If it's fully laced in and you try and squeeze it in, there's a possibility you could do damage to the fabric or the corset itself, which is something we want to avoid, as we want to get as much wear as we can out of this item. Before popping on a corset, I would recommend having some sort of item of clothing on underneath, whether it's a singlet, a petticoat like I'm wearing, or something else to create a barrier against the skin. This is historically accurate for a lot of corset wearing, as we don't want to get all our sweat and grime on this corset. We want to keep it clean for as long as possible. So by having a barrier between our skin and the corset, it means we're not going to damage our skin or create minimal damage. When you're lacing your corset in, you can create friction burns and other such things. If it digs in a certain area, you may feel it a little bit more, but by having that fabric there, it will hopefully prevent the majority of these issues. So I'll jump up now and demonstrate how we're going to pop this on. So we've got our corset. I'm just going to tuck the little modesty panel back here just so you can clearly see the back, but if you prefer, you can have this out so it hides the lacing a little bit better. I'm going to start by putting that around my waist. You'll notice that the little studs here, which we hook onto, are on my left hand side. Now the camera may flip this image so it looks like this is my right, but just confirming this is my left side and that's the correct side to have that over, as for most women's wear it traditionally goes right over left. You'll notice that in a whole range of items, including jackets, pants, and things like this. Because our corset is nice and loose, it's easy to do up on the front. You'll notice there's waist tape through the corset, which kind of creates this horizontal line, and we want to make sure that's in line with our natural waist. We're then going to click our corset into place. I usually work from the bottom up, but if you have an overbust corset, you may find you need to move around and see what works for you. From here, I just sort of wiggle and click these into place so they're nice and secure. It's at this point we want to make sure this is all sitting at the correct point, so it's nice and symmetrical. It's sitting on our waistline and nothing's going to become uncomfortable in that area before we start tightening. So we can see the corset is nice and loose so far. So I'm going to grab the strings, which we're going to pull on, and I'm going to take these and put them to the opposite sides and give them a nice big tug and begin to tighten that corset. Whenever I'm tightening a corset, throughout the duration of popping this on, I like to just stretch side to side backwards and forwards just to make sure my skin is sitting comfortably and nothing's kind of puckering underneath the corset. So from here in the top and the bottom, you'll notice that some of the strings are starting to sag. To correct this, if we're working from the top to middle, what we're going to do is grab the little X shapes underneath this and pull these through. We're then going to grab just the top of the loop, so not the bottoms of the loop, and we're going to tug on these to tighten that up, and we're going to continue working from top to bottom. So we're pulling those X shapes. And you can see this is sitting a lot better now and also sitting more snugly with my rib cage. We're now going to repeat that on the bottom. So we're pulling up those little X shapes to the middle. So this time with our loops, we're grabbing the two bottom loops and we're going to pull those in tighter. And now that's sitting better with our hips and looking nicer on the bottom of that corset. So now we're going to focus on stitching the waist in. So a common mistake people make in this area is they just kind of try and tug this, but pulling this really isn't doing anything. When we cross it across our body, and then we tug in, that's when we start to see a reduction in the waist. At this point, our corset is feeling nice and firm. I'm going to leave these ribbons stretched in the opposite directions, and I'm going to wrap that around my waist a few times until I can tie this in a bow. And that's our corset popped on. I'll show you a little video here with an item of clothing with the corset underneath to demonstrate the silhouette it's creating, and another video here showcasing that outfit without said corset. An additional tip for putting on your corset is it's sometimes good to wait about 10 minutes before just adjusting to see if it can be tight laced in any further. So with our corset now on, I'm actually going to demonstrate how to correctly remove your corset. If you take it off incorrectly, you can do damage to the fabric, you can do damage to the busk, which is the front of the corset that clicks together, and a number of other things. Essentially, we're doing the opposite of how we put this item on. So we're going to start by undoing our little bow at the front and unwrapping. Commonly, people will then take off this section here, but it's really hard to undo because there's so much tension pulling that corset into that shape. So we're going to turn around and do the opposite of how we tighten the corset. So we're going to go through and we're going to loosen those X shapes going through, and we can see how that's loosening the corset off, and it's very gapey here now. And we're going to repeat that through a few times. We really want this to be sitting nice and relaxed, just how when we put it on. And I again work from the bottom, unclicking, to the top. And it's as simple as it is to take off our corset. It's really important whether we're putting on or taking off our corset, we take care with what we're doing, as this item holds a lot of tension when it's done up properly and tight laced in. We really want to ensure that we completely loosen it before we put it on or take it off, just to avoid any damage being done to said beautiful item. I'd like to thank Glamorous Corsets for providing this beautiful corset so I could create this video. I'll include all their social media links in the comments below. If you'd like to see more pinup fashion, silhouette and corset videos, do let me know in the comments below. I truly have so much fun making them and sharing them with all of you. If you'd like early access, exclusive content, and to further support my creation of videos here on YouTube, I now have my Glamour community on Patreon. I'd of course like to thank all my patrons, but especially my VIP Glamour patrons, Sarah C and Kane S. To follow my daily pinup adventures, I post super regularly to Instagram. I'll pop a little link here as well as at the end of the video. And to never miss out on my vintage fun, be sure to hit that subscribe button below and turn on those bell notifications, and I will be seeing you all very soon.